Hi, my name's Laura Johnson, and in today's video we're talking about why I quit Ulta. Now, if you're wanting to watch a video about how it is working at Ulta or how to get hired on as an Ulta employee, well, the salon version I would say, because a lot of people want to know how it is working at Ulta in general. This is more of the salon, the stylist, the hairdressers type of video, but this is why I quit. This is more of personal issues, what they did to me personally, and how I was pretty much personally victimized by Ulta. Raise your hand if that's you too, you know. Honestly, working at Ulta was not the worst, but it's not the best, and we're just going to talk about that. If you go over to my channel and go to the playlist area, I actually have an Ulta playlist, so look at those. If you don't even watch the first two and you just want a nice little story time, then you're coming to the right video, because this one's definitely one for the books. That I would say it's not as bad as Dillard's, but it's still pretty bad when it comes to being a professional and also being treated badly by a corporate company. Here are some of my problems that I had, and these are going to be my personal problems. To get started off, my first color I was so excited for. The first 2 or 3 clients that I had, or the first day or two that I worked up there, I was constantly doing blowouts, which I have no problem because now I'm awesome at blowouts. You give me a round brush and a blow dryer, that's all I need. My first color client that I had, I was so excited. Everybody was excited for me. Up there, if you had a color client, everyone was like waiting for you. You kind of had an audience. You would have the retail workers that worked there, the cashier girls or anything like that. They would always like come and kind of visit you, which was nice because people wanted to see your work. They wanted to know how you were. But when you messed up, everybody knew about it. Everyone would judge you, and everybody would have their own little opinions and, you know, be snarky sometimes. It's pretty much why I left Ulta, because this is how they handled the situation. 1, gossip. Gossip wouldn't just happen with clients, it would also happen with the manager, but it was mostly the manager. It was mostly the manager that pretty much caused a lot of the problems, or caused a lot of situations in the salon. I want to say workers, when I was first training, they were constantly worried about what the manager was saying about them, and the manager was also worried about what they were telling me, which kind of always happens in a corporate type setting, because, you know, you have the cat and the mouse situation. You know, when the cat's out, the mice come out to play, you know, that kind of situation. When I was there alone, they would tell me one thing, but when I was there with the manager would tell me another thing. But when the manager was also there, they would go back on what they said and tell me something different. So it was kind of like no one practiced what they preached, and there was just a lot of situations where it was like headbutting all the time. You wouldn't get the same experience working. You would get a different experience when the manager was gone versus a different experience when the manager was there, versus another experience when the retail managers would come and help out, because the retail managers, it was like different with them. It was like there was no consistency at all. Everybody had a different way of doing things, which to me, that makes sense. Everybody does work differently. Everybody has their own ways of working. But when it came down to like morals, ethics, and stuff like that, it was all everywhere. No one had the same morals. No one had the same work ethic. Everybody just had different work ethic, which I get it. Some people work harder than others. Some people believe that if you're sitting down, you're not working. The manager would also talk about workers in like a negative way. One day she sat down with me, and you could tell she was picking with the stylist, but kind of like made a comment. She's like, yeah, he, what did she say? She basically said, yeah, he's the one you have to worry about. He can be a little shady sometimes. And then I was like, okay, like I was put in an awkward situation, because I would never say that to somebody, especially another coworker. They would also go back to her, or go back to me and say like, what does she say about me? Does she say something like this about me? Like, I always feel like she doesn't like me. I always feel like she doesn't say this about me. There was also no teamwork. I had to do most of the towels and stuff, which I get it. When you're kind of like the newbie in the salon, even though I was like experienced and stuff, you have to do the towels, you have to clean, you have to make sure everything's straightened up, you have to kind of pick up the slack. My number 3, because I'm kind of doing this in bulletin points, number 3 was the manager. Her problems were always everybody else's problems. So if she was having a bad day, she would make everybody have a bad day. You could always tell when, like, you didn't even have to ask, like, is she doing okay today? Everybody just looked mad and looked hectic, and just, you could tell everybody was just in a bad mood because she was in a bad mood. So that's how you could tell instantly. You could feel it. You could literally cut the tension. As soon as I walked in the door, I could cut the tension with a knife. Like, it was just awful. And she would also get mad at us for, another way she would make us, her problems, our problems, was she would, if she was below in sales, instead of going to the people that are lacking in sales, she would just get mad at us or lash out on us and saying, we need $2,000 more in sales this week. Y'all are doing awful. Y'all aren't doing anything. And she would just like constantly drag us down. We also had to let her know what was going on 24/7, especially me, since I was new. If I was like doing a new client or something, she would have no trust with me. She would constantly like, I see your books are filled. What are you doing today? How are you going to do it? Let me know. I need to know. And I was like, can I just do what I need to do and just tell you how it went? And she's like, no, like, I need to know what you're putting in their hair at all times. I need to know, pretty much she needs to know every little thing I'm doing so she can do it her way. So if I'm wanting to use a 9NB, which is like a neutral brown, she's gonna tell me, no, I want you to use this other color. And if she wanted a red base color but I wanted to keep it natural or neutral, she would totally go against with me on that and say that she wants it to look warmer. She would call coworkers and try to get a hold of them if she ever needed them, and if she couldn't get a hold of them, she would make me call them. So if they would not answer her phone, because, you know, obviously caller ID, and we all had to have each other's numbers, but for that reason possibly, and she would get mad at them for answering my phone calls instead of answering her phone calls, which I think is pretty messed up. If I'm not at work, I'm not going to answer my phone. If you're short-staffed, that's not my fault. If somebody is coming in and wanting their hair done, I'm just going to stay home. Although it's different now, which I'll explain in another video on what it's like working with corporate versus actual salon video. The first few weeks I was in there, I was on a group chat, which I didn't care about group chat as long as you're like, hey, somebody needs to get this tonight, or hey, I need this done tonight, can you make it happen? Like, just little things like that. She would like send photos of her grandchild being born, which I understand if the other people have been there for forever, okay, but I don't know you, and I'm getting random pictures of somebody's baby on my phone. You couldn't request off. If you wanted a day off, you pretty much had to work your butt off. If you had a family outing or a family thing to do, they would put it in consideration, and they would always say, oh yeah, like, we'll let you get off. That's how they did at Dillard's with me, by the way. By the time you worked your butt off and you're pretty much like run to the ground, and they're like, well, you've been working so hard here lately, and we need you to keep doing that because we need to catch up from last month. And it's like, you just told me if I worked hard or if I did my job that I could go back and whatever. So they would pretty much work you to the bone, because how Josh puts it, they don't know if you're gonna work there or be there for too long, so they're gonna get all they can, like all of the sales and everything that they can get out of you. They're gonna squeeze it out of you until like you start working there for over a year. Then they're gonna be a little bit more lenient, and the more like trust, the more loyalty they feel that you have of the company, then they'll start giving you like all the benefits and everything like that. So that's how they were. That's how every corporate job is. My number 4, I had to close down the salon every single night. Now, right now, when I'm working at the regular salon, I kind of just put towels up, or fold towels or wash towels, make sure there's towels for the next day in general. I would make sure my hair was swept up from the floor, and I just kind of turn off the music, turn off the lights, lock the doors, and go. here at the salon at Ulta, you have to sweep the whole salon, and you have to sweep the bathrooms. You have to mop the whole salon and the bathrooms, only because everything is white in there. So if you spill color and stuff, you have to mop all that up because people are messy. And they have white floors, so they always have to make it look clean. And in order to mop the floors, you have to push the chairs in, put the mats, which by the way, floor mats that Stylist stand on are very heavy, so you have to pretty much flop it on the chair. You just had to always like put those up and take them down, or you had to put them back up and take them down, and that got annoying because I don't put mats up for one at the salon I work at. If anything, if somebody comes in and sweeps and mops and stuff, they'll pick up the mat themselves and clean underneath it. But in general, they have the salon I work at now, she has a cleaning lady that comes and cleans everything, which is really nice. But no, you're the cleaning lady at the Ulta salon, and you have to clean it from head to toe. And so you have to put all the mats up, you have to sweep everything, and then mop under everything, leave it for the next day. That way when everybody comes to the station, somebody has to take them all down to start off the day. I also had to sweep and mop the bathrooms. I had to check the trash in the bathrooms. I don't think I mentioned this one in the last video, but if there's a trash bag with pretty much contraband, stolen items, you had to either pull it out yourself, or a manager would go through the bag and pull it out to make sure that everything that was in that bag stolen was in that bag. Retail is not always there when you need them. Anybody that is in the makeup department, they were like gone most of the time. They would either tell a client, oh yeah, or not tell a client, tell a shopper, yeah, let me go look in the back, and they go to the back and they end up carrying a conversation with another coworker, and they completely just like BS back there, and then they come back like 2 or 3 hours later asking or trying to find the shopper that's like mostly gone. Because I feel like in the back of, I feel like they possibly don't mean to, but I really feel like they would purposely go back there and wait until the client left. So if they didn't really want to look something or whatever, they would wait back there and try to find the client, and when the client left, they would tell the manager, oh, like I tried helping them, but they just left. And then the client would come back, they took 3 hours back there. Of course, when a client says that, the manager doesn't really believe them, but they were probably there for 3 hours, you know? And so that was another thing. They were just never around. So I had to stop what I was doing and go help customers, because if I didn't help them and the salon manager saw that, then they would get mad. But there would be times where I was there alone, and that's really where it got really bad, because sometimes the salon manager would be like, no, like she's doing hair, I'll get somebody for you to help you. But when I was there alone, there was like nobody there to back me up. It was like the customer would get mad at me because I'm like, I'm in the middle of something, I can't really help you right now. They're like, well, you're just cutting her hair, like just come and help me for a second, it'll only take a second. But then they tell me to go back there and look in the back, and then I have to go back there for like 10-15 minutes helping them, and then my client's just sitting there for 10-15 extra minutes after she's been there for probably an hour or so, and it just gets annoying. So that was another thing. Nobody has respect for clients. The only thing I had about the respect for clients was they had respect for clients. Sometimes they had too much respect for the clients and believed everything the client would say. When I mean like they have no respect for the client was when a client would say, oh, like I just want to chop it all off, I don't want my long hair anymore. I would have so many people like, don't chop it, don't chop it. And I'm like, why? And they're like, just don't get it short, because then she's going to hate it, and then she's going to want a refund and stuff like that. Like everybody was kind of scared of changing somebody's hair drastically. When I'm working at a salon and someone wants their hair cut short and they end up not liking it, I'm like, sorry, you wanted me to cut it. If you don't like it, just let it grow out. Like, sorry you didn't want it. Like, sorry, that's not what you expected. I can make the cut feel better to you if you don't like it because it's too thick at the bottom, or if you don't like it because it looks just too ordinary. If you want it to look extraordinary, I can add a little flair, like, you know, that kind of stuff. But they would like freak out because the manager, I soon to learn that she would be like, we should have really consulted you, and we should have talked about everything that was going to happen, and we should have really went in depth of how you would feel after your haircut. When in other words, she meant, we should have talked you out of the haircut. And that's not what I do. If you tell me to do something, I'm going to do it. If you tell somebody to monogram an L on this and somebody monograms an L on it and you don't like it, tough shit. Number 7, you were watched like a hawk. I feel like I kind of went in depth with this, but yeah, I constantly had a manager over my shoulders and constantly asked me questions. I feel like when people do that, or when a manager does that, then the customer's like, is she supposed to do that? And then they start kind of doubting them, and they start doubting their decisions, and they start doubting my decisions, and then they start not knowing who to trust. So that's where it comes to be an issue on things like that, is the whole trust issues. The manager not trusting you, therefore the client not trusting you. And then I even had thoughts like, am I really supposed to do hair? Is this what I was meant to do? Like, did I choose the wrong profession? Like, I start doubting myself. So when your manager is constantly doubting what you're doing and not trusting what you're doing, you start to not trust it yourself. And they kind of try to take all the uniqueness out of you. They try to make you into this little cookie cutter robot. Kind of leads on to another thing. Clients in that sense would not come back to me for their problems, because they're like, well, the manager was second guessing her, so maybe I should just go to the managers. Number 9, they had no respect for me. It was pretty much, why are you mad looking? I can see it on your face. I'm sorry you felt that way. I didn't mean to make you feel that way. Like, it was constantly just badgering you. And it was like, I would sit there, I'm like, I'm fine, I'm just really stressed out and I don't want to be here. And it's like, well, if you don't want to be here, then you can just walk out the door. And it's like, no, I'm fine, I just don't like how you're making your problems my problems. Well, I'm sorry, we're on a deadline, nobody's doing their job, and you need to bring in more clients, and you needed to, like, it was just constantly, it wasn't even helping. Then I would start crying, and then she would like, oh no, it's fine. So after that, I was just like, you know, whatever. That was like almost my tipping point. I went home to Josh and I was like, I'm miserable, I'm fed up with this, I don't like working for other people, this is just and it was just stressing me out. And I told Josh, I'm like, if I quit today, would you be mad at me? He's like, no, it's fine. And I was like, are you sure? And I was like, we really need the money, you know, I really need the nice steady paychecks, and I really need the stability and all this other stuff. And I was just panicking and having an anxiety attack, and Josh was like, it's fine, just go home, relax, do what you need to do. And yeah, so number 10, the one thing I was like, is this really a stable job? Do I really need to be here? Is it worth it? And this is what really tipped me off and why I truly quit. And this is the last one, but then I'm gonna add another little thing at the end. The pay was crap. When I first went there and they told me I only got 30%, I wanted to quit right then and there, because at normal salons you get 60%. No, and there's no way of being in booth rent. Ulta doesn't do booth rent. You're on commission for life. If I was making $2,000 in sales, $2,000, and in booth rent, if I was making $2,000 in sales, I think I made $2,000 in sales at Ulta in like 2 weeks, because I still had 2 more weeks for the month of Ulta and that I worked there, and I knew I had 2,000 in sales, which is supposed to be way more. Like, you had to make at least $450 to get, or you had to make $450 every week for you to get commission, if that makes sense. So I made 2,000 in sales, and I was getting paid the same as somebody on hourly. I was getting paid the same as the cashiers. I was getting paid the same as like any other person just working a retail job. I was getting paid that much. And if I made 2,000 in 2 weeks, I would only have to get rid of $300 in a real salon. Like 2,000 in 2 weeks, and I only have to give people $300 back. And that also, now hear me out, Ulta, you do have your products there for you. You have everything there for you. No one has to buy any kind of thing. Like, the products are just there. You just get paid for your commission at the salon. Yeah, I would give her back $300. I would give Anna $300 for 2 weeks if I worked there and it made $2,000. But then when it comes down to products, I'm spending at least like $300 more dollars. But that's still only $900, and I still get paid over $1,000 being there for 2 weeks, not being paid only for $100 to $300. Like, that's a different change. And that's why I quit, because I was like, if I'm going to be there for so many hours and I'm going to be making all this money, why even work there? Like, it wasn't even worth it, and it was just not, no, it just wasn't even. That's what tipped me off. And how I left was probably the most like obvious way to leave. I seriously I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to go and bye. Like, I didn't really say it like that. My day was over. I just had a few clients and stuff, and I told the manager, and one girl just quit, and I told the manager, I was like, okay, so I know she just quit, and I was like, I'm not quitting, even though I was like, I'm not quitting, but my grandmother needs her hair done. She can't leave the house. She just had knee surgery, which was true. And I was like, I need to go do her hair, and yeah, and I also need to get some products, so I need my license, because I lost my there's like a little thing you can rip off your license to take to the beauty supply store. That way you can still leave your license at the salon and go to the beauty supply store and have your things and stuff, even though they put you in a system. So you don't really need that. But I told her I lost that. And then I needed my actual like license. And so I grabbed all of my things that I would need to cut her hair, which was like everything pretty much. I grabbed my round brush. They already had the tools and products there. So I only grabbed my shears and my license and my round brush that I had there. That was about it, and walked out the door, never went back, and I still haven't gone back. It's almost June, and I haven't been in Ulta or stepped foot in Ulta since the day I left in December. So yeah, that tells you how that situation was. I'm pretty much posting as much as I can. I now have Wi-Fi. I can now edit and post videos in a fraction of the time that I used to. So yeah, so if you have any video ideas, please comment down below. I have all my social medias and my email all down in the bio or the description box and stuff. So if you want to know more, just go down there. And yeah, so it was nice talking to you. Y'all have a nice day or a nice night, and bye.